Welcome to another episode of A Dram with Friends. We are extremely blessed to have a young man by the name of John Moore join us in the pub today. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
So I thought I'd get out this Aaron 10-year-old single malt whiskey. I know you haven't had a lot of experience with different scotches, so I'm hoping this one is one that you will like. Dram is only an eighth of an ounce, but I never get that little in a glass, so we'll give you a little more of a taste. And then what I should have done was got a little bit of water for you to just cut it, but I'll do that next time. I promise. Because
it smells good.
Yeah, I really like this one. And on one of the shows that we were watching, or online, there's a guy that reviews whiskey, and he picked it as, I think, his top whiskey last year or something. So I had to go get a bottle.
Yeah, it's good. Surprisingly, it's actually smooth.
Yeah.
Usually people say that after drinking acid, but
no, this is
good.
And that's where the difference is like, as a young man, there's bar whiskey that does not taste like good whiskey. So it does make a difference. So not all whiskeys are created equally. So for our friends in the pub, who is John Moore?
Well, I'm a professional MMA fighter, as well as being a man of faith. And yeah, I've been fighting professionally for about 3 years now. And I've been a Christian, I think, about 15 years. So, and I was raised in a Christian household my whole life as well. So that definitely affected me in having a positive childhood. And yeah.
And you're a husband as well?
I'm a husband, and I soon to be father in a few months. So that's very exciting.
You're
First
exciting.
child,
And
little girl.
And I've known you since you were a little boy, because your older brother and my son used to play soccer together. And then you and Peter have been good friends for quite a long time now.
Yeah, it's been a while now.
And you guys been on a journey together, discussing faith, playing some disc golf, and and that's the beauty of life. Is I think it's so important that we have dialogue, and it strengthens our faith. It takes us deeper, and I want to thank you for having that dialogue and being that friend to Peter and the family. And it's just so important that we build each other up.
Definitely. Yeah, it's there's like old sayings about, like, you don't know anything until you have to teach it or answer questions about it. And if you can't answer questions or just talk about it, do you even believe it? Do you even know anything about it? If someone asks you why you believe what you believe and you don't have an answer, do you even believe it? And
First Peter says, have an answer for your faith, right? Like, you've got to have an answer, but learning never stops. And if you go to the ancient Greeks, Socratic reasoning, that through discussion we should be able to come to truth. And that's where that's where I think our world has gone wrong, is the lack of dialogue. Whether because they just throw bombs and call names, you're a racist, you're some, like, whatever it is, rather than having a dialogue and trying to help them understand your position, or they understand your position. So it's hard to have a dialogue with just one person. So why is that so important? Or why have we lost that art of discussion?
It's almost sometimes like just you see people, and if you're not open to having a conversation at all, I don't know, it seems like it just says something maybe about your maturity, or maybe the parenting of the last generation of you can't be critiqued, you can't have people disagree with you, otherwise it hurts your feelings. And if someone hurts your feelings, they're being mean, and that's wrong. And so if anyone's disagreeing with you, you're wrong, and they should feel bad. And there's no point in even arguing with people like that because they're so bad, because they would make you feel bad. So you should just yell at them and insult them instead. And what's the point of having a dialogue with a morally corrupt person, which is anyone who disagrees with you? And so
Well, and
sometimes just seeing videos or watching debates of people who just try to have gotcha moments the whole time, where it's like no one's trying to understand anything. They're just trying to win for a moment, or have an internet clip that's going to go viral for making someone pause for half a second before they answer and be like, aha, you didn't even know that right away. And now I win because you had 5 seconds before you answered. So I guess I win that now. And
have you had any of those viral moments in the fight where you're trying to win?
uh, I've had a couple good clips. My last fight was got a few views. I knocked him out in the first round,
Oh wow.
and so it got quite a few views on that. It was an exciting moment. So that was definitely nice.
Well, and that was a big moment for you because you were fighting, and help me understand the trajectory. Like your first fight was locally here, wasn't
Mm-hmm.
it? And then you started going.
Yeah, I had my first fight here in Calgary, and then I went out east to Nova Scotia. I had a fight there, and then I think it was in Red Deer I fought again, and then my fight after that was in North Dakota, and then I fought in Minnesota, and then my last fight was in Las Vegas.
And is that like a higher tier or
Las
what?
Vegas definitely is. The other ones were kind of just, it was a great opportunity, and it's fun to travel, especially they cover your travel and they put you up in a hotel, so that's it's always nice to go farther than Edmonton. Um, but Las Vegas definitely, it's sort of the like fight capital of the world.
Yeah,
A lot of the, if you go back in time to even like big boxing fights, a lot of them all happen in Vegas. Like the MGM is very famous. And
yeah.
um, so yeah, the it's definitely it's been an upward trajectory for me. I'm 6-0 now, so got some potential big things coming up
Yeah.
later this year, hopefully before the baby comes. So
Yes, yeah. Well, and you want to make sure that you're not going anywhere during that time of
yeah, yeah, no, it's sorry, honey. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Hope you're hope you can handle this well.
no, no, that doesn't go over well,
No,
especially in today's world.
yeah.
Uh so what is the future looking like in the fight world for you?
Well, I'm hoping to get on. There's a an organization. The biggest one for like MMA is called the UFC,
Yeah.
and they have a sort of, they're like a parent to a smaller, they run another promotion. It's called Dana White's Contender Series. So they invite people on there who are up and coming prospects, and then winning on that is usually how people get into the UFC now. So
Oh, okay.
it's called like Contender Series. So if you go out there and you have an exciting fight or like a big finish, that's almost a guaranteed contract to get into the UFC. So I'm hoping that if that's not my next fight, I'll have I'm in some talks with my management about finding a title fight for a promotion in the States.
Okay.
And then after that, it would more than likely be on the Contender Series for me. So
good.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Now, obviously, in the areas that you're in, we're not talking big dollars. So, what do you do to support the wife and future child?
I work with my brother as a denture assistant. So I make false teeth. So it's a great job for
UFC
fighting.
fighters.
Yeah, I'm not working construction all day and not killing myself at a 9 to 5 just to train all night and be tired. So yeah, it's a great job, and I've been there for about 6 years doing that. So
Okay.
it's quite enjoyable.
So is it just you and your brother? Is your dad no longer there?
He retired earlier this year. Just too many new changes, too many new protocols you got to follow, and too much new paperwork and new rules always coming out. And so yeah, it's my brother, myself, and we have a receptionist.
Oh, that's awesome. Family business.
Yeah.
And and then when you're a UFC fighter or a MMA fighter, then you've got clientele that you can sell.
I'll give you a good deal if I knock out your teeth.
I got to introduce you to a good buddy of ours, Dave Seashon, who's the dentist, and he's also he did a lot of work with mouth guards for uh, MMA fighters and stuff. Yeah, so I should connect the two of you. Yeah. He's on the board with me and for God Squad Canada, Heroic Men Canada, and he's good buddy, and you'd like him a lot. He's a character. He's been on A Dram with friends, and so what else do you do for fun?
Well, as you mentioned before, I love disc golf. Go pretty much every week, every chance I get. Especially now that it's summer and we got such nice weather. That's a big one for me. And then just hanging out with friends. I like to, I play video games, and that's I do a little bit of woodworking as well.
Oh, good.
Working on a little shoe rack that's been on the go for a few months now, but yeah, limited free time with training full time and working full time. But
well, and you even let me come out once in a while on those disc golf games, and
yeah, you got to come more.
hopefully my knee, the old age is catching up, and yes, I'm wearing shorts in the pub today because it is getting nicer outside. But yeah, I really enjoy the disc golf, and I know you and my son Peter. You're very competitive together.
Yeah, it's just like in everything. If you don't have like some sort of competitive drive, you're never gonna get better. So it's always good to have that. Makes it more fun too.
So, you have that competitiveness against each other, but I also see the two of you having that brotherhood, that connection. How important is it for young men to have brothers that they can count on?
I think it's super important just for, everyone. If you don't have close people around you that you can even just, not even in hard times, but just, in all the good times, have people that you can, celebrate things with and say stupid ideas to, and just have people that, that like, oh, when I have a free minute, I know who I'm going to reach out to and see if they want to do something. And just it's really, really great part of life to have good people around you and close friends and people that are there for you.
Well, and especially with young men, because that's one of all men, but there's this epidemic of loneliness amongst young men where we have stats that upwards of 30% of the men sitting in the pews don't even have one close friend. So realizing the gift of friendship and brotherhood is so important for men, and that they not forget to continue to look for that
Mm-hmm.
and embrace it when it is made available to them, because it's one of the things that heroic men exist for is to help build that brotherhood
Mm-hmm.
so that men feel like they're supported. And you being a new father coming, that you have older men, other men that you can rely on for wisdom. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the whole reason we exist, is to support uh especially the young men, because if we got guys my age going, I wish I'd done that,
Yeah.
rather than guys your age saying, I think I want to do that for my
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
is why we exist. So
Yeah. Definitely, it starts there with your family, and if it is all just older people coming to a realization of things that they should have done, there's nothing that young people hate more than old people telling them, "Oh, don't be like me, do this," and you'll regret it if you don't. And so just having that be in people's lives as long as possible, getting it into them at an early age of building friendships and building a relationship with God as well. And
yeah, well, and that's the key factor, right? Is God's first,
yeah.
family, and then friends, and just, and being that right now the world desperately needs the witness of men, strong men, MMA fighters that believe in God. And from my understanding from Peter, every time after you win a fight, that's you give glory to God.
Yeah. Every time I have an interview, it doesn't even need to be much. It's just, something to get out there to maybe people didn't know, or maybe people just see that and they're like, oh wow, I didn't know that, there would be it's nice to see a Christian in this field, in whatever field you're in.
Yeah,
Like, you were a police officer, and maybe you're like, oh man, cops are all so mean, and then you're like, oh, I actually know several Christian cops, and it's a very, like, there's just, it's good to let people know that there are, Christians are everywhere, and
yeah,
it's not some weird taboo thing to be a Christian, and it's not just weird people who are Christians, and it's just everybody. I bet everybody that sees this, if you don't think Christians, I bet you do.
yeah.
It's all over the place, and it's just good to just let people know. So I try to do that every time I fight, and just remind people and remind myself,
Yeah,
how I have the opportunity to do this and the abilities. And
that's a great reflection. Remind myself, yeah, and often we have to do that. I've gotten into the habit of late, when you know when people ask how you doing, and oh fine,
mm-hmm.
I've started answering that I'm blessed, because I'm so blessed to be sitting here drinking a whiskey
Mm-hmm.
with a young man who's willing to talk about his faith and his family. So one of the things that we talk about too is food. So we've talked about faith. We've talked a
Mm-hmm.
bit about family. You're doing family business. Is there a dish that you prepare for the your wife that
I think one of the main things that I can make, and I can make well, is mashed potatoes. And
okay.
any chance I get where people ask me to bring food like that, I'll be like, don't worry, I'll bring mashed potatoes. And so that's probably my number one thing. I love, obviously, I love making steaks, and I love making roasts, stuff like that. And
So do you have a secret to your steaks, or a tip?
usually, you pat them dry, you season them, leave them in the fridge for a couple hours. I think that's what they call dry brining.
Yeah.
And then that's when you sear it. And then even doing something I've been trying recently is like a reverse sear. So you put it in the oven for a while, bring it up to, I think it's about like 200 degrees or something. And then that's when you sear it just for 30 seconds aside, nice and hot, gets a really good crust on it, but then the middle's already done and like it's been cooking in the oven slowly. So it's a little extra tender and it's a pretty good way. But
yeah. And then the other secret is let it rest.
you gotta let it rest. You want the juices to go out.
Yeah. You gotta let it rest, man. Let your steak rest. 10 minutes is around the right time. Tent it, some tin foil, and Bob's your uncle, and you'll be able to do that. And then as you have a child, and I'll have to teach you some pancake recipes so that you could be the number one dad. And kids love pancakes. It's
who doesn't?
That's right. Yeah. I've got some sourdough, 40-year-old sourdough, some sourdough pancakes. So
I think the age of the starter of my wife's sourdough, I think it was 100-year-old sourdough.
Oh wow!
Yeah, got it from my brother. Pretty sure it was 100 years old. So I didn't even. Seems like such a preposterous thing to say. This chunk of mold is 100 years old.
Well, no, you keep feeding it, and but it just keeping it alive. And there's been some funny stories like on TV about that. There was one on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, I remember that.
So so sourdough is a family thing, and for many families, just passing it. I was down in Idaho Falls, and the restaurant was selling sourdough for $5, I think, or something. And the bakery came in and said, "That's too cheap. We're selling it for $50." So I must be doing something wrong giving it away.
Yeah.
So is there a role model, or like in the Catholic faith, we quite often look to the saints as role models. Is there a role model that you look to for faith that
I think there's maybe a couple that, number one, if you're looking for a role model, who better than Jesus? But then even for not even role models, but like reminders, you look at, the different apostles, look at Peter, denying Christ over and over again. And then you're like, oh man, I'm doing that too. And you're like, but he made it past that. Just looking at everyone in the Bible is constant reminders of failure, and then, forgiveness, and, David taking another man's wife and sending him frontline into battle. You're like, oh man, that guy, that's not great. But you're like, oh man, I'm doing bad stuff too. But then you keep reading, and you're like, oh, but he made it past that. And
we just had the reading about Jesus restoring Peter, where Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord, I love you. Feed my sheep, kind of thing. And so Peter denied him 3 times, and the Lord restored him 3 times. Like, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know everything. You know I love you. Feed my sheep, kind of thing. Is so Jesus continues to build us back up when we fall down, and that's the beauty of being a Christian, of being a man of faith. Is there's an old Bob Carlyle song that I just love the title, or the saints are the sinners that fall down and get back up again. And you, from MMA fighting, that's because you get knocked down, right?
I haven't, but other people.
Some other people, but it's about getting back up again, right?
Yeah.
Like it's about never giving up. I like the Galaxy Quest theme. Never give up, never surrender.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we have to be as men of faith. Like, failure is not an option. And so we continue on this path, on this road together, and know that you're not alone. So, and that you're supported by other men that will help build you up in the faith. So, so what advice do you have for a man to be a heroic man? I know it's tough.
Love the Lord with all your heart and be honest, not only with others but with yourself, because that's it's really easy to lie to ourselves about maybe how well we're doing or how firm of a believer we are. It's easy to back up. I'm doing pretty good. I've been, I read my Bible yesterday, and we just got to be honest with ourselves and be willing to maybe stand out in the crowd for going against popular culture, being okay with people thinking, oh man, this guy is some weird loser. He believes in, some guy in the sky, and, be like, it's okay that you believe that. I'm not going to change who I am because you think I'm weird. I'm not going to go against my principles because people are, think I'm crazy. So I think that's how people need to be a heroic man, is to, stand firm in the Lord and not to back down from what we believe, like stand firm in the faith and stand firm with what we believe. And yeah.
I like what you talked about, is that lying to self, that the unexamined life is not worth living kind of thing. Is so that constant examination of conscience, we would call it, right? So it's that's so important, and many of us even struggle doing that on a semi-regular basis. So thank you for that. So I don't know if you know, but the Gaelic term for whiskey is Ishkabaha, which means water of life. And I pray that you continue to lead many souls to the true water of life. Thank you for joining us today, John.
Thank you.
I hope you have enjoyed this episode of A Dram with Friends. Like and subscribe. Go to all podcast platforms to look for it on podcast, or go to godsquad.ca to support our mission.